Well, you're still here. Thank you. I get tired of going welcome back, so I'm always trying to think of a new, different way. I knew nobody would go away, though, because of the presence of my two guests here, Chef Vincent
Thank you.
and pastry chef Robin, and all the good things we're talking about at DB Brasserie and the samples that they brought. And we have this fabulous summer stone fruits menu coming up. And so I don't have to rush anybody real quick. I'm going to give some shout outs, what's going on in Vegas, what's been going on and what's coming up. And if you want tickets, times, all that pertinent information, go to www.vegasonlyentertainment.com under Vegas VIPs. Speaking of the variety of foods from all over the world, next week I'm going to Sushi Roku to sample their summer sushi menu, so that's kind of fun. I love Johnny Yusao, the general manager, and Chef Haru, who you've probably met. Everybody adores him. They're just wonderful people. There's a new Mexican restaurant opening downtown, and that's the Casa del Matador, downtown Summerlin, that is. And then I missed Cindy Williams, who is being a guest in menopause, but she's going to be there till September. I had to leave town. Do you remember Laverne and Shirley, or is that way before you? Okay, good. I was dating myself there for a little bit. We've got a new gastro pub at the Tuscany Suites, and they've got all kinds of craft beers, which is always a good thing. We should talk about beer and food here in a minute, because that goes as well as
Very
wine,
much so, yeah.
one would think, right? And the Night Owl Showroom at Hooters, which is actually a lot of fun. Been there, done that. They've got 3 long-time Las Vegas shows coming back, people that we all love. Trent Carlini, starring as the King, Elvis. And, the country superstars tribute, Willie Nelson, all the good old country boys, Reba McEntire, girls included. And a special friend of mine, Brandon Powers, is celebrating his first anniversary at the Golden Tiki in Chinatown. Congratulations, Brandon. Love you. Best of luck. They're going to have a shrunken head of Frankie Marino there. So that ought to be interesting to put in there. Frank Marino. And they're going to put that in their curiosity cabinet. There's a lot more going on in Vegas. Go to www.vegasonlyentertainment.com under Vegas VIPs. And let's get back to what's the best of all, the two of you. We left off in the last segment talking a lot about the desserts, the stone fruits, what you would do if Chef Daniel himself were there in the restaurant. And now I'd like to know a little bit about wine, of course, goes with anything, wine and dessert. And do you take that into consideration when you're creating something like this, what the people are going to be drinking, or are you strictly trying to balance it off of the menu and leaving the wine selection to the sommelier?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, you obviously want to have a chat with the sommelier before we put a menu together.
Everybody's involved.
And so basically the third party in the creation of a menu is most definitely the sommelier and the person in charge of beverage. That includes, of course, beers and everything like that. So, for an item like this, for instance, the flatbread or, the top flamme that we have here, most definitely something that could go along with, some beer. And we have seasonal beer, such as peaches and all kind of flavored beers are coming up.
So Serenos are more popular now. The
pretty big thing, yeah.
Sommelier, correct? I mean,
it's I think, and I think one of the reasons is probably not just because people like to drink beer, but I think deeply that there's a really strong sense of craftsman workship in there, where people are directly responsible for some great flavors and texture and everything, where the beer is definitely a process that's not as I would say long and the time frame is just slightly different than trying to make wine in your own backyard. So
people are doing that nowadays. They have
but making beer is something that seems a little bit more, I would say, doable and approachable. And we see all kind of and especially in our field, in a restaurant business, you'll see a lot of cooks and chefs and pastry chefs and managers of a restaurant that would eventually try themselves to try to put some beer together. And why not? All I'm saying is why not? And it's actually good that you go all in the process all the way to sort of like and cooking the food and creating the menu, and then eventually why not putting together a beverage such as a beer.
Beer and wine in different foods. I know you wouldn't want to probably you'd put a liqueur in a dessert, But this menu looks really fantastic here. And again, this is available just for 1 week, everybody, so you're really going to want to put a note on your calendar here. The blue cheese and nectarine, that's the flatbread. And then tell us a little bit about these items.
Well, this first flatbread was the item
mouth-watering.
just basically that we would put on the table and then have all the guests, mixing, mangling, and having a little bit of bite.
And
of
then you
something.
have
So
a
then we go
fish?
after that. We go with a formal, I would say, plated course that involves some crudo fish or a raw marinated, thinly sliced pieces of fluke in this case. So it's basically a local flounder. It's a fish coming in from the coast of Oregon,
Right.
and a beautiful, bright, crisp, marvelous fish. We pair it with some plum carpaccio, so we very thinly sliced some plum, ripe plum. Plum has that acidity to it that plays a pretty nice role with fish, raw fish, and such as a sashimi or a crudo type of thing.
Plum sauce, one would think, in the hoisin.
We did a little bit of a passion fruit vinaigrette, just
nice.
fresh passion fruit. It has that sweet and tingle, sort of like a nice combination of both raw fish and a plum.
I
So
like that when the
vinaigrette
palate-
just lift up a little bit the dish and makes it pretty interesting.
And then here you have a Hudson Valley foie gras and Hood River cherries. That's Hood River, Oregon again.
Yes, so Hood
I used to
River,
live in Oregon, so-
Hood River in Oregon is there's no doubt about it. It's
Yes.
to me one of the nicest cherries that you can put your hand on right now in the peak of the season. And then
Now,
we
do
just
people, this is all, this is your second
Courses.
choice. This is the courses. And then there's the pork blade.
the main
with
course is a
peaches.
piece of pork. So a pork blade, it's a very thin, almost like an escalope or scallopini, if you may. A very nicely marbled piece of Berkshire pork. So it's a good good natural original breed of pork that we have marinated, put on the
fantastic.
grill. And then, of course, peaches. Peaches and pork. It's it's one of one of those things where you have to have some sweet if you have a nice grilled piece of pork, especially in the middle of the season as we are right now.
I'm beginning to see where Robin got her inspiration with the apricot, and because again, you're just following it. It just seems like almost a natural progression to arrive at that. So I think this is quite a reasonably priced menu for just the variety and it would be a great gift even to take somebody out to dinner on their birthday or something and get to sample this. So you do the 4 seasonal a year, and this one is July 25th through July 31st, starting
31st,
at
yeah.
5 p.m. and it's what, $60 a person?
Yes.
Yes. You can't beat that. Actually, parking anymore would cost as much as a meal prepared by 2 of our finest chefs. I mean, where are our priorities these days? What is your next? Would it be a fall? And
So-
then you do winter, correct?
Yes,
So-
we're definitely going to come up with something in the fall. I would probably see eventually some game that might be the drive behind the menu.
What pops into your mind when you think of game? Does something pop like? Would you rather sit and talk with Chef about it? I mean, or does anything just pop
Game
in
is definitely his.
But I mean, as
that's
a
his
dessert,
forte.
did anything pop into your mind that might complement the?
Definitely apples. Starting
see?
with the
You
cinnamon,
too.
speculoos spice, things like that.
Ooh.
To me, fall is the season that kind of like preceded a little bit. The Thanksgiving
Best time of
time of the
year.
year where you most definitely want to think about pumpkin. You definitely want to think about squashes and
Cinnamon
and when I say
nutmeg.
game, we're not exactly established on what would be the exact theme, but I can promise you that things like potiron, pumpkin, and things like that, cinnamon for sure, things of that nature. It could be berry, wild berries that goes pretty well with generally like a piece of wild boar or some sort of a venison or something like that. So
And you'll be there with the apples and the harvest fruits. I guess that's what we'd call them. I wish we had some more time because I want to talk a little bit more about the desserts and everything. But again, just by looking at the two samples that you bought, and again the passion. I know that both of you are thrilled to be working for, and I'm beneath Chef Danielle. And I'm sure he's just as equally happy to have both of you on board. So I'm going to take you up. We talked on a break. I get a tour of the galley soon. I really want to go down and see how that kitchen of this caliber operates. So we'll be talking about that. But thank you everybody for staying with us today. We'll be back. I'll be back next week. And I want to thank you both for taking the time to come here and be on
Thank
this
you.
show.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bon appetit.
Merci.